Hey, what's up? This is Zach Doelling. I'm here with Skate, and today I'm going to show you guys how I do backside big spins. Backside big spin is probably my favorite flat ground trick. It's a fun one. It's tough to learn, but once you learn it, it's the best trick. It's good for warming up, doesn't take a lot of effort, it looks flashy, but it's really like such an easy trick. I'm sure a lot of people immediately jump to the conclusion that learning backside 180 is necessary for this one. This is one of the rare tricks that, although I think it helps to have the fundamentals of a backside 180 and a pop shove it, and maybe even a 3-shove, it is its own trick done its own way. I don't do a backside big spin like I would a backside 180 with a shove it, so I don't think those tricks are necessary, but knowing how to do them will probably help. So I'd recommend learning backside 180 at least, and maybe pop shove it. That being said, for me, a backside big spin is entirely your back foot. Your front foot does nothing, and that's why I say it's a lot different than like a back 180, for example. Back 180, obviously you're popping and using your front foot. A back big spin is just this motion. That's it. That's the motion. So you're really just doing a back foot scoop on the ground. You really want to get that mark on the ground. You really want it to, slide off the ground. Your front foot, all it's there for is to kind of keep the board level for a second as you pop, and then just to catch the board on your way down. So that's, pop shove it, for example. Again, it's like, they're just different tricks. So learn those, but don't worry if you can't do those. So for me, I put my feet as high up on the bolts as comfortable. A lot of times I'm actually covering one or even a couple of the bolts depending on what I'm doing it on. On flat, it's probably closer to this. Down a gap, I might even put it up here. So the only exception for putting it lower is if you were trying to do big spins onto something, like, for example, a big spin back tail, a big spin back nose blunt, simple stuff, Don't,
this guy.
Yeah, I know. I've almost done that one, the big spin nose blunt.
You would.
Yeah, so that's, the main thing. As far as your tail, this does make a difference, because if you have it too far over, you can't get that scoop you need. And if you have it too far in the corner, it's gonna do like a weird flipping motion. So as it turns, it's also gonna flip. And the big thing in here is you want the board to stay level as it spins. So I think to do that, you keep the foot on the center of the tail, or at least as close as you can. So it looks like my foot's on the corner, but most of the weight's actually in this area. So that's the motion. As you can see, both of my feet are kind of diagonal. You don't want to be sideways like this, and you don't want to be too straight. Just kind of a slight angle. And your shoulders, you're keeping those in the same area. So your toes are pointing this way. You want your shoulders to be aligned with that. And so that's just setting up your feet. Now, as far as actually popping the trick, it's that scooping motion. So you're just doing this. Obviously, it doesn't. It does something different, but like, that's the motion you would use. You just do it in a more controlled way as you're turning. So the tricky thing with this trick is doing that motion while turning. It becomes tough. So a big thing for me, there's like a brief wind up. So as you're about to pop, you would slightly turn front side. Just the slightest bit, and then as you pop, you turn. So like wind up, turn. Another thing that helps as you're turning is just let your arms kind of help you spin. You start winding up, and then you just kind of throw your whole upper body, and that will help you get the rotation. It's really a confidence thing with this trick. You have to be willing to try to land on the board. I think a lot of people have the spinning motion down, but they don't really have like they're not like trying to land on it. So a lot of people end up spinning the board way out in front of them or way behind them. It's really just a matter of like, maybe try to spin the board a few times, see where it lands, and you're almost trying to jump at that spot, but ideally straight on. it's a complicated trick to explain. Your feet placement, I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Just putting them in the right spot is going to cure a lot of your problems. But a big thing for me is as you pop the board, your foot's almost like dragging back. So you're almost doing this like kick like that. You're kind of kicking behind you. So see, you're like, that's kind of a weird thing too, is like getting used to that kicking back area. Not a lot of tricks really do that. In fact, I don't think any do. Like a big flip, you would just kind of pop it. Maybe learning drift shoves would help. That's like a similar thing, but for me, it's just this back foot determines if the board flips or not. So tinker with that. If the board's flipping one way, maybe move it slightly over one direction and just see if the different foot placement helps it from flipping over. Yeah, a lot of people have that problem. I don't. So it's like tough for me to, I've just kind of always had this trick.
I know, ever since I've known you.
Right.
You do it to front boards, to back tails, downstairs.
Unfortunately, so I may not be
back lips.
Yeah, whatever. But I do know the pain, because when I try 3 shoves, the board does flip a lot of times. And I think, again, like your front foot, I think it's just foot placement. My favorite big spinner of all time easily is Eric Ellington. He has the best back big spins. He big spin front nosed hub hideout, which not really a big spin, but like it's the same motion. But I would say like watch Eric Ellington or Shane O'Neill do a back big spin to learn. Just study those dudes, you know. That's how I learned. I learned by watching Eric Ellington do the trick. I tried to copy his foot positioning, the way his body spins. Honestly, I think that's a good way to learn tricks, is watch pros do it. You know? That's what I had to do. I'm not pro, so.
He's pro. What was the first trick you did big spin into once you like got that trick down?
Oh, big spin front board for sure.
Front board?
Yeah, I think that's the default big spin into trick, because you don't have to do anything other than the trick. You know what I mean? Like you could literally just do a big spin and you're doing a big spin front board fakie if you hit the rail on the way down. So once you start doing like big spin to tails and back lips, it's a different ball game. Not only will I not tell you that because you have to pay for it, but I'd have to kill you.
Nice.
A couple minor things that will make a huge difference. First of all, having a decent board, and I mean like if it's razor tailed and your grip tape's not great, those little things, I know that's not obviously something everyone can do, but having a proper deck will help with this trick. Other things, ironically, we're on this ground, but skating on this kind of ground is going to make the trick way harder. Having a more slippery surface, a smoother surface will make a big difference, because if you need to land and revert a little bit, you have that ability. Yeah, you'll learn the trick proper. Skating it this way, it's just going to be a lot harder to learn the trick.
Yeah, when you have no resistance on that scoop, it makes it a million times easier if you're at a skate park.
For sure. I've even thought about waxing my tail, but I don't know if that would like... if I'm trying this trick on like a street spot, like...
Might help.
Man, it's so fun, this trick, dude. Other things, your wheels. So like, he has cruiser wheels on his board. Having really soft wheels will also make the trick harder. Basically, anything that gives you more traction to the ground will make the trick tougher. So hard wheels like 99A and above, smoother ground, those things will make a big difference. And I think personally having tighter trucks will help with the trick. I think having looser trucks makes it a little bit harder to scoop the board, but that's just a personal preference. Do what works for you. But I think, yeah, tighter trucks, harder wheels, better ground. Oh, and don't do the trick like this ever.
That's not allowed? That's
not allowed.
That's a flag on the play?
Pop your board always. Do not do that trick. If your homie does that in skate, tell him to pop it. It doesn't count. But yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was Backside Big Spins. Yeah, thanks again, We Skate. And if you guys want to check out my channel, link in the description if you want to see more skateboarding. Yeah, hopefully these guys help you learn the trick, and check out some of their other videos.